This is Goku's son, DBZ, and this evening I am going to be doing a top 10 list. Top 10 rock/metal bands of the 1990s. And I'm also working on a future top 10 rock/metal bands of the 1980s. So, let me know in the comment section below some of your favorite rock/metal bands. Now, this will be based on some of the most popular ones, partially based on, of course, chart success on the Billboard charts, MTV, and VH1 charts in the 1990s. Now, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of bands not mentioned, of course. Now, since this is like half-half, that means like 5 spots will be held by rock bands, 5 spots will be held by metal bands. To give equal, and since they're officially bands, there will be no solo artists, so don't expect artists such as Ozzy Osbourne or Marilyn Manson to be on the list since they are solo acts. But let's get this started. Oh yeah, and also this will be based on strictly chart success in America only, North America region. That's it. Okay, coming in at number 10, the German band Rammstein. Sorry. But Rammstein was definitely probably reached their peak in America in the late 1990s, around 98, 99. German industrial metal band, perhaps the most successful industrial metal band from Europe and America. Very influential, and also were part of the known as the Family Values tour in the late 90s, which was hugely popular and successful. But definitely one of the more unique metal bands, definitely out of the 90s. Coming in at number 9 is a alternative rock band. They did some music, but not much really since the new millennia. The 90s was when they ruled. And this alternative band was called Collective Soul, which is probably best well known for songs like Run, and in particularly the song known as Shine. Really good alternative band. If you're into alternative type music, rock, I highly recommend Collective Soul. Coming in at number 8 is a band that was hugely widely successful on the charts in the 1990s without a doubt. And that would be the metal band Korn. Definitely, they're honestly, of people I knew that listened to hard rock and metal in the 90s, almost everyone I knew listened to Korn, besides their overall chart success. Coming in at number 7 is perhaps the most successful alternative rock band of the late 90s, early millennia. They were even ranked for several years straight the #1 rock band in the world. And that is the band, frontman of the band, Scott Stapp, Creed. With multiple #1 hits between their first album, My Own Prison, and of course their #1 successful album, that being their second studio album, Human Clay, with songs like Higher, With Arms Wide Open, What If, and other big hits like that. Coming in at number 6, the insanely successful in the 90s band, and still around to this day, still popular, but they definitely reached their peak around that time period, and that is Red Hot Chili Peppers. Without a doubt. Their music was in multiple movies, and definitely had quite a few on the #1 ranks on the top charts. Definitely with Billboard, as well as MTV. Coming in at number 5, a band that's still really successful to this day, and honestly was very influential in the 2000s, but made their debut around 1994. And their most successful best-selling album, if I remember correctly, it came out in 96, that being Dookie, which has sold close to 20 million albums now. And of course that is the punk band Green Day. which is probably bands that started in the 90s, probably one of the biggest bands that's still around today. Green Day has had multiple #1 hits, but probably two of their biggest hits of the 90s, Basket Case, and of course, Brain Stew. Classics. Coming in at number 4, one of the big 4 of thrash metal. Definitely were at their peak in the early 90s with their 1990 album, of course, Rust in Peace, and their 1992 album, my personal favorite album from them, that being Countdown to Extinction, and of course that is Megadeth. Coming in at number 3, another one of the big 4 of thrash metal, the Juggernaut, and probably was at their peak in the early to mid 90s, and that being the hugely successful Metallica, which has had quite a few hits, but I think they will best always be known for their self-titled album, and of course being the one particular song called Enter Sandman. And coming in at number 2 is basically the Nickelback of the 80s and 90s. And yet they're still hugely successful and continue selling out their concerts today. I will never understand. They're sadly one of those bands that you want to hate them, but you end up liking a few songs from them no matter how much you despise the band. And that being U2. I personally am not a big fan of Bono and U2, though he's done a lot of good things, but his ego is enormous. But I may not be a big fan, but I can't deny U2's chart success in the 90s, how many #1 hits they produced, sadly. Here's a couple of honorable mentions. Also, of course, towards the late 90s they became big. Godsmack, of course. Also bands like Our Lady Peace, Limp Bizkit, Orgy, KMFDM, Pearl Jam, and Rage Against the Machine, all good bands of that time period. And one some may not know of, Ice Earth, and of course Anthrax, are all honorable mentions. Coming in at number 1, the #1 probably alternative band of the entire 90s, and of course is known to this day as the greatest grunge band that ever existed of grunge rock. Pearl Jam basically gets second place, but this band gets #1, and that being led frontman, the late Kurt Cobain, and that being Nirvana. Best well known for songs like Teen Spirit, of course, also known for songs like Rape Me or Come As You Are. A lot of good songs they produced over the years, and it's kind of sad that there's a lot of youth today that are into rock music, but don't really realize how much importance bands like Nirvana have. Though they're not around today, they only did like 3 studio albums, and look how influential their music still is. But Kurt Cobain had a really good sound voice, and Nirvana really is probably, will always be known as probably the greatest band to come out of grunge from Seattle. But I'll cut this vlog up. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment below, and I'm going to start trying to do 2 vlogs a week. I haven't set up definite days when they will be yet, but one will be a top 10 list, and the other will be a review. Could be video games, could be a book, movie, soundtrack, I don't know yet. But I'm working on the details now. But I hope everyone has a good evening. Goku-san DBZ signing out, and I'll see you next time. YouTube land. Peace out.